guys. Happy Monday. Hope everybody can hear me. I feel a little combobulated after traveling for twice in the last couple of weeks and got in really late last night from California. So feeling a little discombobulated, but that is okay. I hope everyone had an amazing weekend. I did, had a great time in California, was able to get some work stuff done and mix work, and then also met with one of the investigators who's helping on the Chase Lackey investigation. We got to meet in person and do some stuff together. And then also, if you saw on our social media, went and visited the pack and mail place that Chase and Addison shipped product from. So that was kind of cool to go there. So also did a lot of wine tasting, and I'm excited. I went and grabbed this out of my suitcase real quick. Thursday night, JT and I are live with True Crime and Wine Time. And when I was at one of the winery tasting rooms, I said, hey, if y'all ever want to give us some wine and sponsor our podcast, True Crime and Wine Time, we would be thrilled to do that. Guess what? They walked over, gave me a bottle. It's J&M Cellars. So it's John and Michelle Cellars in Napa. So I will be drinking this on Thursday's live stream. It's a dry rosé. I have to tell you, it was a cool little tasting room. Staff was great. Everything about it was great. And the wines were really good. Their rosé was good. And then I also had their Sauvignon Blanc. So it was really good. So once again, thank you all for being here. I am Teri True Crime. For those of you that are not familiar with me and you maybe just stumbled across this page, welcome. I am half of the True Crime and Wine Time podcast team. My co-host, JT, he does True Crime and Wine Time with me, but then we both also have individual things that we live stream here on our YouTube channel. Currently, True Crime and Wine Time production produces the podcast, True Crime and Wine Time, which you can find live stream on YouTube, but then you can also find it on the podcast apps. Then JT does Night Court, the Hey Ho Show, and I have to stop and think. I do True Crime and Wine Time with JT. We both do the investigation into the disappearance of Chase Lackey. And then on Mondays and Wednesdays at lunchtime, like today, I do Midday Missing. So we stream live several days a week. So be sure to subscribe to our page so you don't miss anything. I will tell you that this week, JT will not be doing Night Court or the Hey Ho Show. We will live stream True Crime and Wine Time, but he is taking off the rest of the week to handle some things. So once again, thank you. Oh, it looks like Bianca's sister is joining us. I actually had reached out to her. We are going to talk. I wasn't able to connect with her last week because I was traveling. So I'm excited that she's here. I am going to be covering Bianca's case today, but I will be doing a special episode just on Bianca after I have the chance to talk with her sister. Now, I learned about Bianca's case. I have on my bracelets at the podcast festival that JT and I went to 2 weeks ago. I don't know, time's just kind of all mixing in, but heard about her case, and it's very close to me. It's in San Antonio. So I am going to share some basics that I found about the case. Just know that we will be doing a special episode just on Bianca. So welcome. I'm not sure if I can pronounce the last name. I'm assuming it's Carrasco. Normally, I like to make sure before I say it, but Bianca Carrasco, if I say that wrong, I apologize, and I promise I will get it right next time. So welcome, Giovanna. I see you're in the chat. So everybody say hello to Giovanna. Bernie, that is Bianca's sister. So Bianca went missing May 1st of 2016. But let me tell you a little bit about her. She was born on July 21st. So yesterday was her 38th birthday. The family had an event in San Antonio this past weekend. I was very sad that I couldn't drive up there because I already had the trip planned to California. Um, and we share birthday month since my birthday's tomorrow. Kind of cool that Bianca and I share that. So she was born July 21st, 1986. She was from the Odessa area. Now, she married Joe Carrasco when she was 18, and he was around 29. I found some stories that said 28, some that said 29. So I'm just going to say 29. Okay. So they moved from Odessa to San Antonio. And according to the family members and reports I saw online, it said their marriage was troubled, um, which tells you that this story's probably going to get a little, as I call it, frustrating. So on May 2nd, Bianca's sister filed a missing person report after being unable to contact her. She had tried reaching out to Bianca the day before and on that day, but when she couldn't, she called Joe. Now, he told her they had had a huge fight, and Bianca left, walked out, and left her kids behind. Now, as a mom, and knowing so many moms, I'm going to tell you that was the first red flag for me, because most moms, I know there's a few moms out there that not sure they should be moms, but you don't leave your kids behind. But anyway, concerned, her sister did report her missing. Now, one of the things that caused me to reach out to her sister was there was so many conflicting stories on this next part. And I'm hoping I'm going to share what I did is I took the stories and reports, and I took the common denominator, the one to seem to share the fact the most is what I decided I would use as record. But I am looking forward to talking to her sister and debunking, straightening all of this, because as I've told y'all with the murder that happened in my family, the snapped episode was absolutely wrong. There was so many things just reported wrong. So I do want to just say that I took the common denominator. So Joe claimed Bianca was having an affair, took off her wedding ring, and walked away. Now, everything I saw, her sister was adamant that Bianca might walk away from her husband, but she wasn't going to abandon her children. She was a mom, loved her kids, loved being a mom. And everything that I saw in all the articles, friends and family described her as funny, caring, and a great mom. So a great mom doesn't walk away from their kids. She has 3 children, and she worked as a registered nurse in San Antonio. Now, Bianca left home without her car and most of her belongings. So here's where that other red flag comes in for me. Days before her disappearance, she had decided to divorce Joe and plan to move on with her children. Okay. I'm going to just tell you guys, in case you don't know, anyone in a domestic violence situation, even if there hasn't been physical violence and it's all emotional, financial abuse, that kind of thing, it is still a very dangerous time for someone to get out of that relationship, even if they have not shown any physical violence before. So Joe suggested that Bianca left to be with another man, and he didn't really seem to show concern over her disappearance. And I'm going to just tell you right now, I would like to think, even my ex-husband, my kid's dad, that if when we were splitting up, if I would have stormed out without the kids, because we got into a lot of arguments, a lot of fights, I took a lot of walks, that he would have been concerned over my disappearance, at least from the standpoint that I'm his children's mother. So right off the bat, I wanted to say, Joe, that does not make you look good. Okay. You should be concerned whether you are still in love with this person or not over the fact that your children's mother is missing. Now, I also saw some reports, and I think I even went down a Reddit rabbit hole or two, that Joe, up to her disappearance, had kind of gone a little crazy. He knew things were coming to an end in the marriage or that the marriage was in trouble. And he was calling everybody, talking to everybody, wanting to know where she was. Then lo and behold, she walks out and he no longer has concern. So red flag, red flag, red flag. So Bianca's sister, who lived in Houston, reported her missing to the police. Okay. They questioned why Joe hadn't filed the report. And I'm kind of like them. Why didn't he? Now, I did find that Joe spoke to the San Antonio police after the report was filed, admitting that he discovered Bianca's affair. And I found one article that said he took all of the money from their bank account and he confiscated her phone. So, first off, you don't go and take all the money out of the account. Okay. That's just rude. That's just not nice. So, the other thing, you don't take her phone, right? But initially he claimed that she took her phone, but then later he said he had it. So that was one of the stories that I kept seeing go back and forth. So I am very interested to find out when I talk to her sister about what really happened or what their understanding is, because that is sus to me in so many ways. And guess what? He stopped cooperating with the police. Excuse me. And it's baffling. And I know I've said this. We all think I'm a little crazy because I keep beating this dead horse, right? But it is baffling to me how someone can refuse to speak to the police despite being the last known person to seeing missing individual. I get they have the right to not incriminate themselves. I've said this many times. I don't know how we get around this, but we need to have a law compelling people to answer questions. I don't know how you do it. Okay. And if we have any attorneys, experts on the law, tell me how we can fix that, because we need to fix that. If someone is the last person seen and they say, yeah, my wife and I argued and she stormed out, I've never seen her again, they should be compelled to talk. Like I said, I don't know how you do it, but there's got to be a way. Now, Bianca was last seen on May 1st, 2016. It has been 8 years without contact with her children and her family. So, guys, think about this. Her 3 children. 8 years. Mom's birthday was yesterday, and they didn't get to celebrate with their mom because she's missing. And there has been numerous tips that have come in, but none that have led to concrete information about her disappearance. Okay. And her family and friends remain dedicated to finding answers. And as I mentioned, they recently celebrated her 38th birthday at Friesenhahn Park. And guys, to me, that just reaffirms their love and determination. And as we say in Chase's case, somebody knows something and they want answers. And I hope all of you will share Bianca's missing person flyer. It's on our True Crime and Wine Time Facebook page. It's also on my Teri True Crime Facebook page. Share it. Get it out there. I mean, guys, it's July. It's hot in Texas. It's her birthday month. It's my birthday month. Let's put the pressure on Joe or whoever is involved. Okay. Let's get it out there and use the hashtag finding Bianca, like what's on the bracelet. And if you have any information regarding her disappearance, you can call Crime Stoppers at 210-224-7867. And I'm also going to ask, if you want more information about Bianca, follow the Facebook page. Help us find answers for Bianca Carrasco. Like it, follow it, because like I said, we're going to do a special episode on her. Several podcasts have already done amazing episodes about Bianca's case. I have listened to them this weekend. I'm going to ask you go out and listen to them. There's Crime with Holly, Then They Were Gone, Crime Lines, and The Murder Diaries. So I am going to ask y'all, go out, listen to these episodes, share the missing persons, go join the family group. Let's put the pressure. It's July. Let's make it hot as hell on these people, because, as I've said, an alien ship did not fly into Texas, beam down a little invisible ray, and pick somebody up, and there's no answers. Somebody knows something. Nobody just disappears. We don't have aliens that beam down and shoot you up into a ship. So let's do that. And I'm going to say, be sure to subscribe to our channel because we will have an episode dedicated just to Bianca after I get the chance to talk with her sister. Maybe we'll even get her to come on. We'll have to see. So next, I want to tell you about another case that haunts me as well. The thing that I find so similar about Bianca's case and Christopher's, and I think in a lot of cases, it's not a stranger abduction. It is somebody that knows the person or the family. And that makes it even more heartbreaking to me, especially when it's people who supposedly care about somebody in the family or even that person. And it haunts me, to think of that. Christopher, and I'm going to tell y'all, I'm going to try to say this name correctly. I have reached out to Christopher's family as well. Abeyta, 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 Christopher. Hopefully I'm saying it right. If not, we know I will come back and correct myself. Christopher was born November 28th, 1985 in Colorado Springs, Colorado. He was the youngest of 7 children in the family. They were known for having close-knit bond and strong community ties. And the family was very excited about the newest addition to their household. And it was so amazing to read the story about how they all showered Christopher with love and attention. And older siblings wanted to feed him, take care of him. I can only imagine for me if I had an older brother or my mom had a younger child and I got to play with it and be like a little surrogate mom or treat it like a baby doll, would have been so cool. But unfortunately, the tranquility of that household was shattered the morning of July 15th, 1986. And guys, yes, I am aware I picked 2 cases that have ties to July. I decided it's my birthday month. I wanted to have July ties. So he went missing. So when Christopher's mother, Bernice, woke up, she discovered their 7-month-old son was missing from his crib. I mean, guys, think of the panic that would set in when you realize your child's not in their crib, okay, and that your child vanished during the night. The window in the bedroom was found slightly open, leading them to believe that someone had entered the house and taken the infant. Now, I read a couple of reports. There is a huge Reddit rabbit holes on this case, but some said doors were also open. People didn't leave. They didn't lock doors as much back then. A child was going to be coming home that was older, so the door was left unlocked. So I saw a lot of that going back and forth, but the common denominator I saw was that the window was open. Now, the Colorado Springs Police Department was immediately called, and from everything I read, they jumped in and started investigating. Officers and volunteers searched the neighborhood, hoping to find any clue that would lead them to Christopher. I mean, 7 months old. He didn't get up and just walk out. Okay. Now, I know my brother, I don't know how old he was, but I know he got out of his crib once before he was walking. So probably 9-10 months. I'm not sure. But even crawling, he couldn't go far. Right. So they kept looking, and the community rallied around the family, offering support and assistance. They were like, hey, what can we do to help? Everybody jumped in. And guys, the police interviewed neighbors, friends, family members. It seems like they went around and they were interviewing everyone. Okay. And I love that. Now, despite the extensive efforts, there were no significant leads in this case. Now, the lack of evidence and witnesses make this case even more perplexing because the possibility of a stranger abduction which I have to tell y'all is terrifying to think that someone is watching you and comes and takes your child. I agree. That seems very unlikely, but Chris's family has never given up hope. They have continued to work tirelessly to keep Christopher's case in the public. His story has been featured on various news programs, true crime shows. I mean, it has brought in interest and tips all across the country. But as of today, Christopher has not been brought home. Now, I need to tell you that Bernice and her husband Gil had been separated. Bernice had accused her husband of having an affair, and they had separated. But they got back together. Gil stayed at the house, and the next morning is when Christopher went missing. Okay, that's heartbreaking. Now, the family felt that Emma Bradshaw, which is the woman that Gil was suspected of having an affair with. I saw some articles that said, yes, they for sure had an affair. Some said it was suspected. I even saw some that said they continued the affair for years. I don't know. I wasn't in the bedroom with them. So I'm going to say they alleged that they were having an affair. But they also felt that Emma took Christopher motivated by a vendetta, because if Gil told her, hey, it's over, I'm going back to my wife and my kids, could spin her spinning. Now, I found a lot of stories that Emma had issues before with some mental instability, as far as people breaking up with her breaking into their house, her stalking them, her doing bunny boiler stuff. Okay. Just can't help but think of, I forget what the character's name is, but bunny boiler lady. So they suspected she had something against it. Now, Bernice dedicated her life to finding her son. Guys, she passed away in 2017 without ever knowing what happened to her Christopher, who is 7 months old. Okay, guys, that is heartbreaking. She died, and think of all of the nights she went to bed not knowing where her son is or what happened to him. And she died without knowing. I mean, they said she never stopped looking. Her and Gil continued to look for their son. Now, Gil had also dedicated his life to finding Christopher, and he was an advocate for other missing children and their families. He passed away in August of 2020. So, guys, two parents left this beautiful earth not knowing what happened to their son. Okay? I mean, I can't imagine. And there's some other things that I find frustrating about this case that I will tell you. Okay. Now, the disappearance of Christopher remains one of Colorado's most haunting mystery. The case is still open, and the Colorado Springs Police Department continues to say that they are seeking any information that might lead to answers. Interestingly enough, I found many articles that talked about Colorado Springs police destroying much of the case evidence. And guys, I can't help but say, what in the hell? Why would you destroy evidence in a missing person case? This was a 7-month-old child who disappeared from their crib. How did you destroy evidence? How? Guys, this next thing is going to send you over the edge like it did me. And I'm going to try very hard to keep my colorful language in check, okay? I then read about the mayor of Colorado Springs, mayor in 2019, who grabbed one of Christopher's sister's shoulders after they had an event and firmly placed his hand on her shoulder. His arm extended and grabbed his other sister's shoulder firmly with his other extended arm, pushed them together. Okay. It was quick. They didn't have time to react. He just grabbed them both, pulled them together, is what I'm visualizing. He then leaned in and angrily said, and I'm going to quote what I found. Let me tell you something. It's time for you to give. And then they stopped him and said, are you about to say give up? Really? Are you kidding me right now? Okay. He then said, let me rephrase that. It's time to come to the realization his case may never be solved. He kept his hold on them firm, and they said it was uncomfortable and unsettling. Guys, that is a form of intimidation, in my opinion. I mean, please tell me that I'm dreaming, because why would anyone say this to a family member? And you're in a political arena. You're the mayor. What the hell? Because I have to tell you, they are better than me, because I would have gotten arrested because I would have slapped him across the face. Okay. Let me be honest. It would have just been a gut reaction, and I would have regretted it later, I'm sure. But you don't say that to somebody. Okay. You don't. And just like someone said about Chase's case, they made a comment. They were like, maybe they just need to realize they're not going to know the answer and move on. And I'm here to tell you, I'm not related to Chase, but I feel like I know him very well because of his family. And I go to bed wondering where he is. And now that I've started covering other missing persons cases, I go to bed wondering how their family gets up and goes forward each day. How do you take this thing that has happened in your life, missing a child, a loved one, a spouse, a sister, a brother? How do you take it and set it aside and still try to go on with life, and someone look you in the eye and tell you that maybe you should just give up and move on? Because you don't stop. Okay. There is no closure. You don't know. So that kind of pushed me over the edge, guys, because I can't imagine having my baby kidnapped, me spending the rest of my time on earth looking and wondering, is he okay? Did maybe somebody take him who wanted a child and is living a good life? Research in this case made me think of Zephanie, who I interviewed and covered way early on in the podcast, who was kidnapped as an infant and was found by the family when she was a teen. I can't help but hope that somebody took Christopher because they wanted a child and that he has a good life. Okay. I know I probably live in, I don't call it a fantasy world, but I call it hope, because without hope, I would be a basket case in everyday life. So I can't imagine if I would survive that. And I pray that my family and friends would help keep me going, because if something like that happened to me, I don't know if I could. And I think that the fact that his siblings are still carrying on the search is awesome. They are keeping his story alive. And it shows me families do not just move on and forget their loved ones. Okay. They don't have closure. They don't get to say goodbye, you're in heaven, and bury them. They have to wonder, do they have food? Do they have shelter? Is somebody holding them? Are they being tortured? All of these horrific things that I know go through my mind, I imagine goes through theirs. And I think there's a hole that lives in their heart until they get answers, and they deserve those answers. Every family of someone missing deserves to get those answers before they leave this earth. And like I said, I've decided I'm going to choose hope, and hope that Christopher was taken by someone who wanted a baby and that he's being raised in a loving family, and that genetic testing will one day bring him back to his family. Now, I'm not going to get into all of this because I found so many confusing things about it, but Emma Bradshaw sued one of the family members, saying that by putting her name out there, that they ruined her life, she lost her job, yada yada yada. Asked for a lot of money. I found one article that said yes, she got one case or one piece of the case proven, everything else was dismissed. The rumors and stuff I found on Reddit said that the sister mailed a letter to her job and told them about her. Can't do that. You will get in trouble for that. But she was a person of interest. And my understanding is didn't overly cooperate with the police either. So you can follow Chris's story on his Facebook page. His Facebook page is this Christopher Abeyta, and they have a time progressed photo on there. I'm also going to ask you to share his missing person flyer that is also on True Crime and Wine Times page and on my Teri True Crime page. Now, if you have any information regarding the disappearance of Christopher, please contact the Colorado Springs Police Department at 719 444 7000. Because, guys, every tip, I mean, no matter how small it is, could be the key to solving this case in any other missing person case. I will also say, since we know the Colorado Springs Police Department has destroyed evidence, make sure you write down the time and date when you call in your tip so that when they say they didn't get any tips, you have proof that you did. Now, I wanted to end today telling you about some of the amazing people I met at the True Crime Podcast Festival with JT in Denver. There were so many wonderful people there, and they truly made my cup runneth over. I mean, meeting family members who were there to share their journey was awesome, but they were also there to offer their support to other families, which to me was just magical. I can't think of another word for it. Excuse me. I will forever, be grateful to all of the families and advocates who took time out to talk with me and share their stories. And all of those that were interested in hearing about our special investigation into the disappearance of Chase Lackey. They've offered support. I have so many phone calls and stack of things to follow up on with people from there. And I met so many family members with missing person cases that I will be covering some more of them that I heard about at the podcast festival. And what I want to say to those family members that I met, keep doing what you're doing, because I get how you can't just move on. I do not personally know or have a family member of someone that I intimately know missing. I do feel like I know Chase in so many ways after working on his investigation a year and a half, that if I cry about it and I go to sleep missing him, what must it be like for his family members and loved ones who knew him? Okay. And that makes me think about all of the other families. So, guys, keep doing what you're doing. And if anyone has a missing person case that they want us to cover, you can email us at our podcast email, truecrimeandwinetime@gmail.com, or you can go to our website and there is a contact form. You can do information there, or you can send us DMs on any of our social media platforms. So we would be happy to share your stories. And I wish I had the time to investigate and help every family find their individuals. One day, maybe I'll have that ability. But until then, we can all advocate for these families by sharing the missing poster and the information. I also put on our True Crime and Wine Time page an article about how to know when the missing person post you're seeing is a scam. There are people, most of them in other countries, that are taking pictures and making scam flyers for missing person cases. And when you share it, they have hackers hacking into your account, trying to get your information. So I will tell you, before we share anything on True Crime and Wine Time, we go out and verify that it is an active case, the person is missing, and that the phone number is correct for where to call in tips. I know everybody doesn't have time for that, so that's why I posted the article I found about how to spot spam postings. Because let me tell you, that's a shitty thing to do. Okay, people. And if you're one of those people who's doing that spam and wanting to hack and do all of this stuff, shame on you. And karma's a bitch. Karma does good things, karma does bad things. So your karma's coming. So just stop doing it while you have a chance. Okay. Now, I want to thank you all for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you all again on Wednesday for our next episode of Midday Missing. Don't forget, this week there will be no other productions on our YouTube channel except for Midday Missing, Monday and Wednesday at lunch. And then Thursday night, JT and I will be here with True Crime and Wine Time. We are covering financial crimes. And I picked a doozy of a case that has ties to Texas, of course. And we're not going to get into the political side of it, but we are going to get into the financial crimes. And we are going to be, not we, I am going to be enjoying this wonderful bottle of rosé from J&M Cellars in Napa Valley. I want to tell you all, until next week, I shouldn't say next week, Wednesday's this week, that watch out for crime. Be safe, enjoy your wine time, and I'll see you on Wednesday.